Hi there, my name is Julianne Hennessy, and I am currently a kindergarten teacher in Oklahoma City Public Schools, and I'm also a graduate student at the University of Central Oklahoma. And today I am going to be talking to you about the digital divide in our schools, or bridging the digital divide in our current education system. This is my kindergarten class. Every teacher out there remembers their very first year of teaching, the one where you spent your lunch break underneath your desk trying to hold back the tears. Every lesson plan you spent hours planning only to have it be a complete fail the following day. I was like a lost puppy trying to find my way around the classroom. My first year teaching, I utilized my laptop and a smartboard every day. But my classroom computer sat at the back collecting dust all year long. There's no way a 5-year-old can learn how to use a keyboard and a mouse, I kept repeating to myself. My second year of teaching, I got a little braver, and I decided to dust off those computers and implement them into our daily centers. My third year teaching, our team received an iPad cart, and I knew I really wanted to use it. I just really didn't know how. I knew it would take so much time to teach the kids how to use it properly, how to log in, how to access specific applications or websites. They're 5 years old, right? How could they possibly learn how to do all of that in a timely manner? I watched them at the back of our room for most of the first semester until one day one of my energetic students came up to me and said, "Are those tablets? I have one of those at home." And I quickly realized that I needed to step outside of my comfort zone and dive into the world of technology used in the classroom. Now, don't get me wrong, teaching 5-year-olds basic typing skills can be a little difficult at first, but I was absolutely amazed how quickly they were able to independently use their iPads every day. It was at this point that I started to wonder, why hadn't I done this sooner? Why didn't I believe that they were capable? Why didn't I take advantage of this gift that I had had all along? Fast forward to today, our iPads are changing the way we learn, the way we create and collaborate with our peers, and the way we communicate in kindergarten. It's really amazing to see what a 5-year-old can do and what they really and truly are capable of. We still have a lot of learning to do with our technology, but my classroom has transformed since that first year of teaching, and my hope is that I will continue to be a learner first and a teacher second. Someone that really understands just how critical it is to be changing and adapting my own teaching pedagogies and how we facilitate learning in our classroom, because the world is changing and adapting every day. However, when you walk the halls of many schools, including my own, you'll still see teachers lecturing at the front, desks in rows, papers stacked up high, and number 2 pencils writing vigorously at their seats, trying to keep up with every word. You may see a computer or two in some classrooms, or a computer lab that kids can access once or twice a week. You may see iPads or Chromebook carts in classrooms, or even schools that have one-to-one technology. But even with that technology, are we really utilizing it in a meaningful way? Even if we only have computers in our classroom or a computer lab we get to go to a few times a week, are we really using it in an intentional way? Are we setting up our classrooms in a way that increases collaboration and teamwork? Are we using technology to simply test prep? Or to babysit, as some may say? Or are we keeping up with 21st century learning and using these devices to their fullest potentials? Or even more importantly and critically, are we allowing our students to live up to their fullest potentials? Which leads me to our discussion today, bridging the digital divide in our schools. What is the digital divide? Well, according to dictionary.com, the digital divide is the gulf between those that have ready access to computers and the internet and those who do not. Although this definition is true, the digital divide goes far beyond internet access and access to technologies in our schools. Which brings me to digital equity. Digital equity, as described in the book Leading 21st Century Schools by Levin and Shrum, is typically recognized as the gap in access to information technology that is more significant for certain schools. schools with high minority populations, for females, for students who are physically challenged, and for those who teach or learn in rural areas. Equality of equipment and quality of use. This was the most fascinating thing that I found when I was researching. We know that the goal of equity is not actually just to put the number of boxes, wires, and pipes into every classroom, or the numbers of computers or iPads or Chromebooks into a classroom. Rather, we need to concentrate on the equitable integration of technology, training that needs to come along with it, and the support for all teachers and equitable use by all students. According to Maisie McAdoo, the author of The Real Digital Divide, Quality Not Quantity, she discusses the issue of equity and how it actually doesn't center around equality of equipment, but rather the quality of use. The computers are there, yes, but what is the real extent of access? What kind of software is available? How much computer training are teachers actually getting? And are schools able to raise not just the students' level of technical proficiency, but also their level of inquiry as advanced use of technology demands? So we know that the digital divide is the access to technology. Some schools may have technology and internet, some may not, and that is a digital divide. But we also are looking at a digital divide further and beyond that. Are teachers getting proper training and support? Do they have mentorship? Are we providing professional development to help them continue growing in their technological pedagogies? Are we allowing all students access to technology or just some? The digital divide goes far beyond just basic technology needs. Why do we have the digital divide? Well, change is hard, teachers aren't prepared, and lack of ongoing support and mentorship in our schools. Change is hard. I know as an educator firsthand how difficult it can be to step back and really look critically at your own pedagogy and the way that you are facilitating learning in your classroom. Yes, students may be succeeding in their academics. They may be getting good grades or reaching your standards, but are we really preparing them to be digital citizens and leaders for their communities? Are we preparing them for future careers and jobs? Are we preparing them for jobs in technology or science or engineering or computer programming and so much more? Teachers aren't prepared, and there's lack of ongoing support. According to Dr. Rachel Tustin, who discusses why we aren't currently bridging the digital divide in education, states there's a widespread agreement that teachers aren't coming out of college well prepared to navigate this new digital environment. And for teachers already in the workforce, professional development hasn't kept up with the pace of technological change. When I was in college, I did not have a single course on integrating technology in the classroom. We may have discussed it throughout some of our classes, but not once did I sit down in front of an iPad or a Chromebook or a computer and learn how I can take this device and bring it into my classroom in a meaningful and intentional way to help my students become digital citizens and digital leaders. And now that I'm in the workforce and teaching in my own classroom, we don't have professional development that is keeping up with technological change. We know that technology is changing every day, so why don't we have the training and the professional development that changes along with it? Why aren't we having discussions and conversations around the digital divide and technology usage in our classrooms? Why do we need to change? Well, jobs are changing. Jobs are no longer pencil and paper. They require technology and computer literacy skills. For example, in the next 10 years, computer science and programming will be the fastest growing occupation in the United States. There will be over 1.4 million computer programming jobs to fill in the next 10 years. But right now, only 1 in every 10 schools is teaching computer science. How are we expecting our kids to be prepared for their jobs if we're not spending the time teaching them the skills or even the foundational skills to be prepared for that job one day. And that brings me to my next point, preparing students for their futures. Why do we need to change? Because our kids in our classroom right now are the future. I know when I was in school, it was way different than what it is now. And our world was completely different. Yet not a lot has changed from my kindergarten classroom 26 or 23 years ago to my kindergarten classroom that I see now. I'm working daily with my team and with mentors to bring in technology integration to keep up with our changing world, but I know not every teacher is doing that, and they're not necessarily to blame. They don't have support and training or professional development to help them do so. And lastly, students need to develop critical thinking and problem-solving skills. We preach critical thinking and problem-solving skills in our classrooms every day, but are we providing them with the tools to be able to learn those types of skills? Our students need to learn how to communicate, create, and collaborate with one another. But if we don't give them the proper tools, like technology, to be able to do that, they're not going to be prepared to work in their jobs in the future. The digital divide is a serious, serious problem and something I find very fascinating to learn more about. It encompasses more than just internet access or devices in our classrooms. It's more of how are we preparing our teachers? How are we preparing our students? How well are we providing ongoing support and mentorship and technology integration? The digital divide is the gap between access, and a lot of times it affects lower income minority schools or rural schools or schools with students with physical disabilities and females, but a lot of times it's quality over quantity. You don't have to have one-to-one technology to begin to bridge the digital divide. You can utilize what you already have, whether that's a few desktop computers in your classroom or a laptop or Chromebook card or some iPads or a computer lab. There are ways to be actively changing your teaching pedagogy and integrating technology into our classroom. And until we decide to step outside of our comfort zones and ask questions and seek to learn and understand how to bring in technology and how to use it in a meaningful, intentional way, we aren't going to bridge the digital divide. And when we don't bridge the digital divide, we are not going to prepare our students for their futures. Thank you.